Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my new Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix series. Mike and Brian, the creators, made a big announcement this morning about the project, so I'll explain what it means, what's going to be happening with the show, and what other Avatar stuff they're working on right now. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will continue to do Avatar: The Last Airbender videos for the animated series, for the live-action series that they're doing right now. But I'll number these as we go along just to stay organized. So starting with the big stuff first, Mike and Brian, who have been working on the new live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series for Netflix since 2018, just dropped a bomb that they have left the project as of June this past year. But it's not all bad, because they said they both have plans to continue working on new Avatar stuff in the Avatar universe. I'll explain what that means in a second too, after I explain their big statements. So for those of you hoping for a new animated Avatar: The Last Airbender series with a different avatar, things are still looking good down the road. They both posted lengthy statements about why they chose to leave the new Netflix live-action project and what happened to lead up to that decision. So for those of you who are wondering why they've continued to be so quiet, why we haven't gotten any updates about the series the past few years about casting or release date or episodes or teasers, this kind of explains why. So I'll just read their statements, then I'll explain what it all means for the new series, because you kind of have to read between the lines to understand what they're really trying to say, the things that they really fought with Netflix about, because they can't get too public with it just because of legal reasons. So Brian starts by saying, Michael DiMartino and I recently chose to leave Netflix's live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the series he and I created together in 2002. We will have no involvement in the project moving forward. This is probably the most difficult decision I've ever had to make, but there's no doubt in my mind it was absolutely the right choice. When Netflix brought me on board to run this series alongside Mike 2 years ago, they made a very public promise to support our vision. Unfortunately, there was not a follow-through on that promise. Though I got to work with some great individuals, both on Netflix's side and on our own small side of the development team, the general handling of the project created what I felt was a negative and unsupportive environment. To be clear, this was not a simple matter of us not getting our way. Mike and I are collaborative people. We did not need all the ideas to come from us, as long as we felt like those ideas were in line with the spirit and integrity of Avatar, we would have happily embraced them. However, we ultimately came to the belief that we would not be able to meaningfully guide the direction of the series. Though I am profoundly disappointed by how things turned out, there are wonderfully talented people who are still working on the series, some of whom Mike and I personally hired and got to know during our time on the project. We worked very hard together towards the shared dream of how special this adaptation could be, and I want to see them employed, and I hope that they get the chance to do their best work on the series. Perhaps the team that remains might still be able to make something fans of the original and the entirely new audience can enjoy. I will continue to be deeply involved in the Avatar universe, telling the stories my partner and I want to tell in a way that we want to tell them. I will put my time, energy, and talents towards the projects that give me the most fulfillment and where I am afforded trust and respect. Life is too short to do otherwise. Signed, Brian Konietzko. So what does that all mean, reading between the lines? Brian's statement lists slightly different reasons for leaving the project than Mike's does. Brian is making it sound like they felt like they weren't in charge of the project anymore and Netflix didn't want to do things the way that they wanted to do them and had some disagreements about creative direction and how they actually produced the series. And the way he talks about it just makes it sound like Netflix wasn't honoring their creative choices for the series. That doesn't explain whether or not Netflix disagreed with the cast that Mike and Brian wanted, or maybe they wanted a more Americanized version, because when they first announced that they were doing a new live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series, Brian was super clear that he wanted to do a retelling of the original animated series, but make it way more authentic to the original cultures that it was based on. Mostly Asian. I've always thought of the Water Tribe, though, as being based on Inuit cultures, but the Fire Nation, the Earth Kingdom, the Air Nomads are all based on different types of Asian cultures. It's totally possible that Netflix just wanted Avatar, but making it Stranger Things, like the way the kids, 11, also bald hero with special powers, blew up in popularity, and now that show's getting ready to end, Netflix wants a new version of that with another franchise. And even if you've only watched a couple episodes of the original animated Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though it follows around a group of children, or kids for the most part, teenagers around the world, it in no way gives off any kind of Stranger Things vibe at all. Also, recently, there was a report that Netflix was aggressively looking to create its own huge franchise like Star Wars or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, something that could go on for forever. And yes, the Avatar series mythology allows you to do that through different avatars, a new one being born when the previous one dies. But it sounds like Mike and Brian probably didn't want to give this new live-action Avatar The Last Airbender series the Marvel treatment and just use it to set up a billion other spin-offs in sequel or prequel series. The other major disagreements that most people have when they lead projects like this in real high-profile ways is over budgets being too small and production schedules being too quick. They announced the project back in 2018. When they did that, Netflix created a landing page on the platform that listed a 2020 release date, so it sounds like they wanted to get the series out super quickly. Obviously, we know things didn't go down that way. Also, right now, in 2020, being a really terrible year, Mike and Brian implied that because of what's going on with the virus, it created some insurmountable practical challenges for the production, and they just couldn't come to terms with Netflix on it. Also, if you've seen any of Netflix's previous live-action anime adaptations, they have not been pretty, and I know we could argue all day over whether or not Avatar The Last Airbender is anime or not. Technically, it's not. Anime is animation that's produced out of Japan. Avatar was made in the United States, so it would be more correct to say that it's Western animation that's done in the style of anime. And one of the hallmarks of some of the previous Netflix live-action anime adaptations have been very quick and dirty productions. But most of that content is stuff that they just buy out of Japan. So Japan produces a lot of really janky looking live action adaptations of anime. Most of the time, Netflix will just license that. One of the first really authentic Netflix original anime live action adaptations is actually going to be the One Piece series. I've got a lot of questions about that. I haven't seen any concept art. I don't know if it's going to be terrible or if it'll be good. Who knows? And even though there are a lot of people now that are making M. Night Shyamalan Last Airbender live-action movie jokes, things have not gotten that bad yet. The difference between what happened then with that movie and what's happening now with the live-action series is that when they were making the live-action movie, Mike and Brian said that they barely got any input at all during the making of that. In Netflix, despite evidence to the contrary, aren't complete idiots. They know how much everyone hates the live-action Last Airbender movie, and most of them probably understand the reasons why everyone hates it, so I don't think that even though Mike and Brian won't be directing episodes or overseeing creative anymore, that the new series will just turn into another M. Night-level disaster. But right now what's happening is the series has not been canceled at all, they're still going to make it, but because of the leadership changes behind the scenes, my assumption is that they won't try to start casting and filming it till early next year, meaning the earliest they'd be able to release it would be the end of 2021 next year or spring 2022. It just depends on how fast they can get into production. So hopefully Netflix doesn't cut too many corners or cheap out on it, but a lot of you asked now, Mike and Brian said that they're going to continue working on new Avatar universe material. There are a lot of new comic books and new books that they've been publishing in the Avatar universe, but the odds of them doing a new animated series with another Avatar just probably shot up 1,000%. Nickelodeon still owns the property. The classic animated series was the most popular show in the world on Netflix for a long time this year, so demand for new Avatar material is through the roof. If they're moving through the Avatar cycle with their different series, the next Avatar that they do, whether it be set in the past or set in the future with a new Avatar, would be an Earthbender Avatar. Now, a lot of you know that they actually just published a big Avatar Kyoshi book. She is one of the most hardcore avatars in the history of the universe. She's like the stabby avatar that's not afraid to kill people. In fact, in the new Kyoshi book, there's actually a story about how she defeated a warlord by bending the water in his body, freezing it to ice, stopping his heart. That is straight up hardcore. That is not something that you would catch Aang or even Korra doing. And if you haven't read that book, it's actually pretty solid. It's available right now. There are 2 parts. I believe there's going to be another 3rd part to that they'll make pretty soon too. And if you're looking for more Avatar-inspired animation, the Dragon Prince series on Netflix is actually made by a lot of OG Avatar people. The creator of the series is actually Aaron Ehasz, who was the original head writer on Avatar The Last Airbender. I will continue to make more Avatar The Last Airbender videos, so leave all your video requests in the comments below. But click here to learn about what the supposed story of Avatar The Last Airbender Season 4 would have been, and click here for my brand new Stranger Things Season 4 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.